Becky Lynch slams the AEW women's division. Plus, there was a shock return and a name change on NXT last night, and WWE talent is heading for Hollywood. It's all in the wrestling news right now. A flamehead, beloved member of the wrestling world has some strong words to say. Welcome back, Jack.
Thank you very much, Tom.
And Becky Lynch as well. Becky was on Drew Garabo Live on Monday, and she had some choice words for the AEW women's division.
She did. She was asked quite an interesting question about the AEW women's division, what she thinks of the AEW women's division, and if the women at that other place motivate her to raise the bar even more. And she said, I wish I could say, she gave quite a strong answer, I wish I could say yes, but unfortunately, I don't think they're represented the way that we are. They don't get as much time as we get, and they're not as good as we are. Now, in fairness, Becky Lynch often conducts interviews sort of semi-in character. She's obviously very full of herself and very arrogant, which fits her persona. However, I kind of get the feeling as well that, so I can understand her saying like, you know, when we're better than them anyway, right? But I do think that she's actually making a point there as well, isn't she?
Because there's a bit of a reluctance to what she's saying as well.
Absolutely, and it's a common criticism that is aimed at AEW, is that their women's division could certainly be better.
She goes on to say, we have on Raw the best women's division in the world. And I say that without any hesitation in my voice. Competition is great, and it's great for there to be another place. I have a good friend in Ruby Soho over there, and would love to see her as champion one day. I would love to see her getting the spotlight that she deserves. Competition is always great, but over here, we're just on another level. So, again, I hear what you're saying. There's a little bit of the Becky Lynch TV persona coming through there, but there is a stitch of truth.
I also think
more than a stitch, maybe a cloth.
I think Becky also is speaking from quite a privileged position. One that she's totally earned herself, by the way. But I think that she's speaking for herself and maybe like a few other women on her level in the women's division in WWE. I don't think you can look at a lot of the women in WWE and say, yeah, they're definitely afforded the time they deserve. I don't think it's as cut and dry as she's perhaps making out here.
I think that both companies could do with having more involvement, and this is the third news video where I've said it, but it's the third time where it's felt pertinent to say it. So many feuds in WWE, pretty much all the women's feuds in WWE revolve around the women's titles, and there doesn't seem to be any room for any other feuds outside of belts.
Oh, you can have storylines not involving belts.
Becky and Asuka is about to become that feud.
Yes.
And it shouldn't stand out that much for that reason.
No.
But it does.
Yeah, totally. I think AEW also are guilty of that as well, just to give some balance. And then Dave Meltzer chimed in and went, no, Stardom's the best women's wrestler. Do you see that on Twitter? He was very passionate about Stardom.
I don't think they put enough women's matches on Stardom, to be honest. I know it's a women's promotion before you kick off. Let's talk about NXT from last night. So we had some homecomings for NXT. Black and Gold brand originals, the War Raiders.
Yes.
Formerly War Machine before that. They rocked up because Roderick Strong has organised some opponents for the Creed brothers for the pay-per-view. And it's the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar.
Absolutely.
We've seen a lot of WWE Raw and SmackDown stars rocking up in NXT as of late. I'm a fan.
I think it's good.
Great.
I think it's good as well. I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much if it was where, NXT Black and Gold, original NXT. But I think in 2.0, it kind of helps elevate things a bit more and stops it feeling quite as silly. We like a bit of silly, Tom, but sometimes for me, NXT 2.0, a little bit too much silly.
Too silly?
A little bit too silly for me there, Tom.
I'm excited for down the road to have a weirdest wrestling shows episode.
Oh, thank you very much.
Some silly NXT 2.0.
Who are the Viking Raiders taking on, though?
Well, Viking Raiders at the pay-per-view faced the Creed brothers, but on NXT last night, they got into it with Edris and No Fate and Malik Blade.
Oh, those horny devils.
Beat them nice and quick and went, we are great, coming for you, Creed brothers. They did a stare down backstage where they both sort of snorted at each other, as you want to do. But that's on the card for Spring Breakin. I can't
get over the name.
I feel like it should be
surfing film.
Yeah, everybody Spring Breakin.
Yeah.
Breakin USA. As well as Viking Raiders and the Creed brothers for that event, we have Natalya and Lash Legend teaming up against Cora Jade and Nikita Lyons. Some belters in there. Nathan Fraser taking on Grayson Waller. That'll be a big marquee match for Nathan Fraser, formerly Ben Carter, from off of Jersey, making his way to America now once again, and will be part of that roster going forward. Cameron Grimes, the NXT North American title, defends against former champion Carmelo Hayes and Solo Sikoa, who gets lots of Uso chants whenever he's out.
Yes, he does.
And I feel like he's kind of been given the moveset of the Usos.
Oh, that can only help him. That can certainly only help him, surely, at this point.
He's great. And Bron Breakker defends the NXT title against me in the main event.
No, stop this now.
Oh,
it's against
Spring
evil Joe
Breakin.
Gacy, Tom. Come on now. You're not evil enough. He's like your evil brother if you had an evil counterpart.
Some would argue that Joe Gacy isn't evil enough to be me.
Oh.
But that's a darker story.
Tell you what's evil.
Go on.
Name changes. No, I'm just things are changing all the time in WWE and I can't get my head around it. Absolutely. It's Kaylee Ray this time, Tom. She's not Kaylee Ray anymore, excuse me. Alba Fire.
Alba Fire, of course, named after the popular 90s budget cassette brand Alba.
Yes. Absolutely.
That was a stretch that made my head bleed.
Resident Scotsman Fraser Porter was telling us that Alba Fire could literally mean Scottish fire.
Literally Scottish Fire.
Yeah. So which makes sense.
Yeah. Well, he is, Kelly Ray is his cousin, so that's probably how he knows. So they changed the fire spelling to Fyre.
Yes.
Presumably for trademark reasons.
I guess
But then, as we talked about upstairs, you've got the small matter of the Fire Festival, spelled with a Y, as delightful as that is.
You don't want Ja Rule coming for you, do you?
Yeah, no, they'd say Ja Rule is coming for you, and then he wouldn't turn up, and they give you some cheese triangles in a bit of polystyrene. That's a Fire Festival joke.
Ooh, that's fantastic.
Woo. We'll end on a bit of news of a WWE talent going to Hollywood. Who's that, Jack?
Right, does this count? Okay.
I wrote the news.
Don't know if I agree with this one.
Counts.
It's Bad Bunny.
He counts.
Well, to be fair,
WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, former champ.
he's not primarily known for Hollywood. He's known for music, the music. So I guess it is news then that he's going to Hollywood. I suppose at CinemaCon this week, last night in fact, Sony Pictures announced that Bad Bunny is going to star in the Spider-Man spin-off movie El Muerto, the story of, this is how it's relevant, a superpowered wrestler. There we go.
He's going to be a wrestler in it and the lead in the film as well, even better. So he comments on this as the announcement comes out in the press release saying, "It's amazing, it's incredible, I love wrestling, I grew up watching wrestling, and I'm a wrestler, I'm a former champion, so this is why I love this character."
Does he mean the 24/7 championship?
Of course he does.
Okay, fair enough.
Still counts as a championship. Yeah, it's a championship.
Does it now?
Look, if he can call himself a former champion, as a former 24/7 champion, you can call yourself a former champion as a former Iron Man,
Two-time
24/7
DDT Iron Man heavy metal weight champion of the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
So both champions, really.
Yeah, okay.
You get money for both dances. I think it's the perfect role for me, and it will be epic. The film is scheduled for January 12th, 2024. So this isn't an MCU movie. I want to point that out. This is separate to the MCU.
Okay.
It's the Sony one, and I know they get a lot of flack for not being as sparkly, but I like the El Muerto character. I'm familiar with the story.
Okay.
I think Bad Bunny is bang on to play El Muerto.
Fair. I'll take your word for it. Fair
I'm
enough.
up for it. I trust the process on this one. Trust the process on this one. More news throughout the day at cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.